everybody, to the Sunday Sax Jam. This is January 21st, 2021, and I'm doing something I promised you I would do at the end of last year. I said I want to start something new once a month, bring in a guest artist so that it's not just all about me. So I'm doing that for the first time today, and I couldn't have thought of anyone else to start this series off than someone that I met through my friend Joe Christina, who is not just my friend, but my co-producer and writer in everything that I've done musically ever. We've been friends for 43 years, and without Joe, none of that stuff would have happened. And when we were doing Surrender in 2016, we needed a piano player for a couple of the songs, and Joe said, don't even ask, it's going to be Ron Levy. So today's very special guest from originally Florida and now living in Southern California, and one of the most I think prolific players out there, plays all the time, everywhere when there isn't a pandemic. Ron, thank you very much, and welcome to the show for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit, just for the audience who doesn't know you, about a little bit about your background and how you came to where you're at today as a composer, as a teacher, and of course as a pianist.
Well, I started in piano lessons in Florida, my home state. And I had a great teacher. She was strict and claimed to have lineage from Beethoven through Leschetizky. Of course, every piano teacher in America has the same claim, but still with impressive. And so anyhow, things went well. And then we moved to Southern California when I was still a youngin'. And that's where I first tuned into Cajiao and Carlitos Niles. Chuck Niles was the DJ at the time. And
oh, yeah, I remember that well.
And in the family, in the house, we were having Billie Holiday. And so I started to get my interest in jazz when I was around 14, I'd say. Kept it in the back burner, and kept it in the back burner all the way through master's degree in a university where I kept my focus on straight classical music. But it was always there. And then actually I got hired for a gig, and I showed up and I couldn't get through one tune. And it really bugged me. I could get to the bridge. I didn't know any tunes, in other words. And home, you need to know the tunes. So I came back to Costa Mesa, where I am now, currently, this moment. And Orange Coast College, and my mentor there, Charles Doc Rutherford, who set everyone who went through his program straight. You need to know the tunes. You be able to play them in every key. And in order to work, I needed to have that skill, so I honed in on it. And now I kind of mix my classical and my jazz roots all the time. To me, it's all one music. You just have different dance steps depending on what the music is.
That's for sure. So,
courtly dance, see? But it's the same structure. So anyhow, so when the pandemic hit in March, I immediately, all my gigs went away. So I said, I got to keep playing. Let's do a live thing. And started that, and I called it Live from the Bosie, because I had just acquired this beautiful Bosendorfer.
Nice.
And with the new year now, I've changed the title of my show, which is every Thursday, 4 o'clock Pacific for an hour, and I just play and gab and tell really bad jokes. And I've changed it to The Tinkling of the Ivories.
That's awesome. And you guys, I will be putting up links to all of Ron's stuff on the YouTube page when I do the Facebook, so that you can go over there and subscribe to his YouTube, because you really want to see these lives. Ron is a wonderful entertainer, not just a musician. And I've seen him do gigs when we didn't have the pandemic, from nightclubs in Orange County that I know well and used to love to have dinner there, to what he's doing now. And I think we're going to really enjoy having you delight us with some music today. Let's talk about your teaching just for a minute before you start playing. Now, are you as much of a composition teacher and arranging teacher as you are a piano instructor?
I guess I'd have to say it is integrated, whatever the focus is of the student. So if I have a piano student, whether they're studying classical primarily or they're studying jazz, and I have both kinds, I'm going to be incorporating theory and composition into their understanding of the repertoire that they're learning. So it's sort of built in. And I have actually taught strictly composition and theory classes as well.
And in your own original work, I mean, given your classical foundations and then your found love for jazz, how does that play into how you write, when you write, and how do you kind of incorporate those two together, if you do?
So writing is sort of a thing where there's many different ways and approaches depending on what time of day. If somebody is asking me for a piece to play and it's a commission, or if it's just I hear an idea in my head and I need to write it down. So it's kind of all of the above. Not sure if that answered your question.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is, does the jazz influence for you blend into your classical and vice versa? Or when you're playing jazz, really the classical stuff doesn't apply as much? I guess that's my question.
No, I think it's all one. Again, and what I find, what the thing with jazz, jazz implies improvisation. You don't just
Hmm.
simply play the tune in a swing style or bossa nova style. It's your part of the thing is you play the tune as it's written, then you begin to do variations. So that's composition right there in
Yep.
real time. And the tools and the techniques that I use when, well, that anyone that does this uses when they're improvising are exactly the same tools and techniques you use when you are composing on the piece of paper to be played at a later time. It's the same thing. So my thinking is probably, I would say, the same for both.
Wonderful. Well, let's get to some music. Tell us about the first tune you're going to play.
Well, my friend Joe, our friend Joe, requested Poinciana, and I've played this song many times, but I decided to think about it a little bit this time and not just start playing it. And one thing I noticed about it, it starts out Poinciana, la 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 la. I know all the lyrics of the first three words of every song ever written. This is composite. This is how I'm thinking these days. Anyway, this shape is also kind of like right?
Very much, very much.
And it's also so I'm just gonna play it. That's my little introduction. You'll hear me maybe morph that little segment of melody, that melodic cell in my, but I'll try not to be too didactic and mostly entertaining and musical.
right. The universal sign for clapping. We do this and on the internet. We clap like this. So that was just wonderful. And it definitely had that Cubano feel that just comes right out. That was just great. Hey, let me do something before we go to the next song and just see if anyone here in the Zoom call has any questions for you. They can open up their mic and maybe they can ask a couple of questions before we go to the next song. Anyone? TJ, go right ahead, sir.
The piano sounds fantastic, and I'm just wondering, technical, how do you have it microphone? How do you have it mic'd?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. When I was first setting up the studio, I asked my friend Judd Leveson, who's my maven, my guru for sound, and he suggested Vanguard microphones. So I purchased a pair of Vanguard V1s. So I have a pair inside the piano. I guess I could, I'm not going to touch my camera, but just trust me, they look like this. You gotta see the edge of it. So stereo pair inside the piano. And then that's going through a Lynx Aurora. Well, it's first going through some Neve preamps to boost the sound and warm it up a little bit, and then a Lynx Aurora, which is a Thunderbolt interface, through the Thunderbolt into the computer.
Yeah, and we can see one of the mics, so you have them in a V pattern like this, one facing the lower stack and one facing kind of the upper stack, right?
Correct.
And so, yeah, we're a very geeky crowd around here, so that doesn't surprise me at all that wouldn't be the first question. Anyone else have anything for Ron?
I was just going to say I experimented a lot with placement, closer, further, different angles until I got it to where it is now.
Yeah, trust me, when we were doing the record, I would just go to Joe, where'd I put mics? Because that's kind of what he does for a living, so makes it very, very easy. All right, well, let's go on to tell me about the second piece that you're going to do here.
Okay, so I'm going to play a selection from a very new set. And you asked about what makes me compose. And by chance, I met a local bassoonist. And whenever I meet anybody who plays an orchestral instrument, I immediately try and get them to play my music. And in this case, she actually said, yes, I would love to play your music. So I wrote this set for Elizabeth Lowe Atwater, who is the leader of a woodwind quintet locally, West Coast Wind Quintet. And I wanted to honor Beethoven in his 250th birthday year, which was 2020, which everybody was celebrating all day long. It was in headlines. I think you noticed. You probably couldn't have we didn't notice it, but it kind of got buried. But I wrote the set anyway, and I call it Ode Beethoven, because what I did is I took some themes from Beethoven pieces that you've all heard, and I kind of mangled them. I Levyized them. So you'll see that. I'm going to play three pieces from that. The first is called Crooked Lisa. I have no idea why it's called that, but it's based on Für Elise. Etc. And I'm going to talk about it just a little bit before I play it.
Absolutely.
So it starts out very boring, right? I mean, come on, Ludwig, couldn't you do better than that?
Hey, it worked for Jaws.
That's true. So what I did when I took this, instead of repeating, I did something that jazzers do a lot, which is I changed the neighbor tones. And then instead of, I did.
Wow.
So there you go. I'm also going to probably do a little mambo. Maybe. It's composed.
All right, I'll go get the maracas.
Off book. So if I do, I know I'm fired, but I'll still be happy, and so will you, hopefully. Fractured, Für Elise, fractured, also known as Crooked Lisa.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Love it.
To say I'm going to play two more selections from the set. Before I do, I would like to say that West Coast Wind Quintet had a performance scheduled of the Wind Quintet. This is a piano version in September in Laguna Beach for the Sunset Serenade series that Jason Fetty books out there. And it was all booked and ready to go, and then pandemic hit. So, not to be thwarted by a stupid virus, we decided to go ahead and record it anyway. So we've been doing remote recording. All the players recorded their parts, sent them to me. I have mixed them, and they will be released digitally soon. So.
And that's great because you also like put out a mailing list every month, right? That you can, if people want to keep up with what you're doing or when you're going to be releasing this stuff, they can sign up for your mailing list. The links will also be there. So that's another way that they can keep in touch when that kind of stuff is going to be released, right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, you go ahead and do your thing.
All right, so we're going to do two more. This one is based on the very famous Minuet in G, which, by the way, is in G. Now, I already have published this as a piano solo with Piano Pronto. I'm really good at, I'm throwing in all the plugs, huh?
Oh,
and
G.
Minuet in G. It was retitled for the Woodwind Quintet version as, and again, I don't know why, Shrimp Salad. At first it's, okay, that's the original. It's now a kind of a ragtime. I hope I can play it.
That's wonderful. And so basically any pianist can go out and buy that piece and learn it themselves and go at it, right? That's what it sounds like. This stuff is published for anyone. I think are you muted? Go ahead and talk again.
It is available.
That's wonderful. No, you sound fine.
That's okay.
What's that?
Do I have time to play
ahead.
Beethoven?
Okay. Joe, were you trying to say something? I didn't know if you... Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? I'm reading a book about Gottschalk, Louis Moreau Gottschalk, it's that kind of thing, man. It's beautiful. I love it.
It really is. Gottschalk, Louis Marie Gottschalk. He wrote a piece called The Banjo, which is virtuosic.
Now, for me, I'm not as sophisticated as you enjoying that stuff. Up to me, it had a ragtime thing that was very cool. That's what I was really enjoying about it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was what we were going for, the ragtime.
All right, what's next,
one
buddy?
More from Beethoven, and this one is based on the Ninth Symphony, which has a lot of themes, and I call it Number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Does anybody know the reference? We used to say this all the time. That's a Beatles reference, okay, a White Album. So anyhow, without further ado, I mangle Number 9 into my own nefarious devices. Hopefully you'll enjoy it.
See, us geeks would have called... Never mind. You go ahead and play it.
Never mind, it's good too.
Just awesome. Just awesome. Man, your ears goes places that my ears haven't even visited. It's absolutely amazing harmonically, dude. It's just like, wow, that's awesome. That's great. So you're going to do one more for us. It's a little more traditional. I think a lot of us will say, yeah, we know that song.
I'm going to bring it home. So this is a song standard by McHugh and Fields called On the Sunny Side of the Street. Now, I did an arrangement for Lacey Wood a while back, and I'm going to play that arrangement, and then I'm going to play it sort of more stock. And here we go. Grab your coat. Grab your hat. Don't let this tune fall flat.
All right, man.
Thank you.
That is wonderful. And I need to be on the sunny side of the street because it's like 22 degrees here in South Dakota. So I could use some of that sun for sure. Ron, this has been so special. Thank you very much. Not only did we hear some great music, but we got some music education for all those people listening out there. So let's go through the line of where people can see you, hear your stuff, buy your stuff. It's time to plug away because I think the folks that don't know about you need to get tuned in and get out there and be a part of your family because you are out there all the time putting music out, regardless of the pandemic, which is what we have to do now. It's the same reason I do the Sax Jam. And for those out there that are Ron Levy folks, you can reach me right here on youtube.com/Victor Cajiao, and you can become part of this family too. Now, what I do is not nearly as prolific as what Ron is doing. Mine is more, just pop tunes and stuff that I'm doing on the saxophone because I just like to do them for myself. And so, but I would love for you to join my community. But tell us about all your places and things there, Ron.
All right. Well, Thursday nights at Parker's Lighthouse in Long Beach. Oh, wait, no. It was.
Yeah, it was. That's right.
Place that with my live show. So Thursdays, 4 to 5 Pacific time. I'll be right here. In fact, I don't move in between. People don't know this. People bring me food. I sleep at my piano. So that's the main online thing. I have actually a couple of places of worship that are doing live streaming. So Saturdays at St. Mark Presbyterian, we actually do a jazz-oriented service. Ernie Nunez plays bass and I play, and Pastor Mark actually plays some saxophone. And so that's live stream on there, but you can find it through me. Either my website, ronlevymusic.com, or you're posting links anyhow, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll post links to everything, but I think it's good for you to, just say them out there. I mean, you deserve the props,
On Sunday, I've been doing CSL, the Center for Spiritual Living, for over 25 years, and we're meeting outside, limited, socially safe, but live streaming every Sunday, and that's also really awesome. This morning we had Maya Sykes as our guest vocalist, so that's been a very important, and it goes on, participation for me in terms of playing music, and it's available to everyone online. Lastly, the Jewish Collaborative of Orange County is something that I've been involved with the past 3 years, doing first just the high holidays, but now occasionally Shabbat. And I actually did a program over Christmas, which I entitled Oi to the World.
Of course you did.
Okay. And
That's awesome.
Those kinds of arrangements, and it was quite fun, and look for more stuff coming from that as well.
Well, that's great, Ron. Love to have you.